Why is it the Super Bowl? Why do we have to talk about it?
He's been doing this for so long that we changed our clothes and it feels like time has passed.
Why?
Welcome back to the James and Dame Show. I'm Josiah.
And I'm Will.
His head hurts. And we're going to be going over the preview to the Super Bowl. And yeah, that's pretty much what we're kind of leading into at this point. Obviously, before we go into the Super Bowl, we got to talk about a little bit of the news that's been breaking recently, especially with some of the recent activity with certain players and coaches and stuff like that. So
yeah, we're gonna dive into mostly just three things here.
Yeah.
And two of them are like breaking news ish. The other one's just a fun topic. First off, the board though. I think we addressed the biggest one, which is Myles Garrett requesting a trade.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is interesting. I think there was a lot of talk about him not wanting to leave. I think he said earlier in the year that he wanted to remain a part of the rebuild if there was a spot for him.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's currently come to the decision that he wants to leave and chase a ring. So,
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Obviously, he's trying to do it via trade, which puts a lot less control in his hands and a lot more into Cleveland's hands, because it's how much do they respect him, and are they going to look for their own best compensation, or are they going to take slightly worse compensation for Myles Garrett's sake? So I think it's interesting news. I don't know. It was pretty surprising to me. I thought, if anything, it would have been like Max Crosby that we heard this from. But
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm curious. But before we get into like potential landing spots, I just want to hear how you took the news and your thoughts on it.
Personally, I did think that Myles Garrett was going to be one of those people that stuck around his original team for most of his career. Obviously, that's not the case. I do think there was a point where I realized that Myles Garrett, as much as he loves the city of Cleveland, he kind of wants to find at least some success, whether it be a ring or just a really good end of his career or whatever he wants.
I mean, the man has one playoff win, so he hasn't even come close.
No. And he's a really good player, and I think he deserves a ring at the very least. Obviously, there are certain teams I would prefer him to go to, some not so much. But I do think that, I don't know. I think this was mostly a decision that he kind of came to once everything kind of settled down, especially after his season was done. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Cleveland Browns were looking to move on from him at some point too, because I got a sneaking suspicion that Myles Garrett wasn't going to be there for as long as he wanted to be, whether it was his will or not. The Browns have been looking to move on from pieces, whether it be quarterback or receivers or whatever it was. I mean, the Browns already traded Amari Cooper away. So there's that.
Yeah.
So it was just time, really.
They are on the brink of a complete rebuild. And, I mean, especially with how Nick Chubb came back and didn't look like his real self.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of just like the nail in the coffin. That's one of your last building blocks. So, like, you have Njoku, who's good, but maybe you can get capital there because how long is he going to be around?
Yeah.
You don't really have anything at quarterback. Like, there's so many holes to fill, and you have so little to work with that this is moving him. People have been speculating that they won't move him. But the thing is, while you are like you're gonna have a big hole. If you get rid of him, you have so many holes that your best bet is to move him to get more capital to fill that hole
Yeah.
because you have so much and you've traded so much. Like the Deshaun Watson trade was horrible and that cost you for years. I think they're finally they will. This is what their first round pick this year since that trade because they didn't even have one last year. So it's their first in a little while, and they've been so screwed by this stuff. A trade here really would help, especially getting good value. Now, but last thing before I think we go into potential teams, is what is the rough value? It could be like player to player. Most likely they're going to look for picks, but maybe
I do think it's going to be like a worth for Garrett. Oh, that's kind of hard. I definitely can see like either 2 really high picks or like 3 picks where one's really high but the other 2 are so like lower down on the draft. I wouldn't be surprised with that. I think if they were going to be high picks, they would probably be the next couple years. If it's more than 2 picks, I think it'd be more of like a spread out year wise. But I can see that, I guess. I don't know. It just depends on how people value him, especially at this point of his career. I don't know.
no. I think I agree. I think he's locked in. Should be worth that first overall pick or first round pick. And if someone is able to get away with the most being the second, a second round pick, Browns are getting screwed.
Yeah.
I think you could see a first and maybe a second or third, first and a fourth, fifth, and fifth.
It just depends
seventh.
on how they value him.
You could see a first, a player, and like a sixth, depending on the value. It's like he's worth a lot, and it'll depend on really where they go. I would be surprised. I think I'd be surprised if they went for a player, but also it's the Browns, so who knows? But yeah, I think there's some real value there. I think a first round pick this year is very likely. I don't think they look too much at anything next year. I think this is going to be more putting stuff in this year. Get the pieces now, not because this is assuming they are smart, which is not their specialty. Would be get a lot of pieces now, not so you're good next year, but so that they have an extra year to develop. So when you get the next class coming in, you have one class with some experience, a new class with no experience, but you have you'll have so much young talent. And so I think it's kind of just front loading it. So I do think an early pick here and probably some garbage down later. But yeah, I guess we can get into like who would likely be the team, because if you're the Browns, you want high draft capital.
Yes.
So a bad team. Myles Garrett wants to be on a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
So do the Browns look at like saying screw you? Do they go completely in his favor, or do they try and meet somewhere in the middle, look at a middle of the road team that could potentially go the distance with Myles Garrett?
There are 2 teams I can think of, and I prefer one over the other. The team that I don't prefer right now is the Chargers. I can see him being traded there. I don't know why. I know that the Chargers are in desperate need of some other positions right now. I'm not entirely sure why, but I did see that somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if he got changed or traded to the Chargers. I don't know what he'd be worth from them though. I saw the like predictions of like where he was going, and I could see the Chargers, and it kind of makes sense. I mean, when you have Joey Bosa and Myles Garrett on the same line,
Yeah,
that's really good. And the Chargers are technically kind of middle of the pack when you really think about it. Like Chargers are needing to solidify that defense. but also they need some more
Offensive
offensive
firepower.
firepower, and whether it's trying to, I don't know, maybe go down the draft a little bit or move up the draft a little bit. I don't know. It just depends on how they view it. I can see that one. Not saying that was like the most likely. I just saw that and I was like, you know what? That kind of makes sense. I understand that. The team, however, that I think that makes the most sense right now would be the Commanders, because the Commanders are in dire need of a line.
Mm-hmm.
They need some help there. I'm not worried about their corners or safeties or anybody in the backfield. I think generally they're okay. It's that defensive line that needs the most work, I'd say, on the Commanders right now, looking kind of back into how they couldn't stop the run against the Eagles. They need that front to at least kind of slow down any run game.
Yeah, I mean, as far as edges go that can contribute to the run, Myles Garrett's about as good as they come. Yeah, I think Commanders is on a lot of teams' radars. I think that's like the golden fit. I Commanders are a team that I had circled, and then I had 3 teams in 2 different divisions
Yeah.
who all could. And you mentioned one of them being the Chargers. 3 teams. I think there's 3 teams in the AFC West that could. That being Broncos, Chargers, and God forbid the Chiefs, because why not? I don't think the Chiefs do, just because they don't need
They don't need to, but also where are you going to get that money?
to. And that's a fair point. What else are the Chiefs? They'll figure something out. They got a lot of young guys too. And I also like, again, the Broncos don't necessarily, but I could see them making a move, and adding him kind of puts them a little bit more in that running. But I think the one that's more likely is the NFC North, with the Vikings, Lions, and Packers, all who could really use an elite edge rusher, because Packers, Rashawn Gary didn't have as good of a year. You don't really have a guy opposite of him that much, because Van Ness has not turned out. Vikings, you didn't get. I mean, it was pretty serviceable, like pretty solid, but you could always get more. And then the Lions, putting him opposite of Hutchinson would be terrifying. I think I do agree that the Commanders would probably be my favorite and my preferred one, because it's like that defense was such a good unit already. Now give them an actual superstar there would be really nice to see. But
I'd say out of the NFC North teams, however, I think the one that makes the most sense would be, actually, let me phrase this. The one that makes the least amount of sense would be I'd say Bears and Vikings. They make the least sense in my mind. Packers have always needed some more support on that defensive line. Lions just want to, need more help, I guess, because they've been injured. Obviously, you can't really change that, but
you just get healthier over the year. But
no.
I've thought of a few other ones just to see what you think. One of them, it is curious because, like, people have mentioned the Ravens and the Bengals, and it's like, he's not gonna go in division.
No, he will never go in division.
The Browns will not. Well, the Browns could be dumb enough too. They really shouldn't. That would be really dumb.
If they were smart, they wouldn't.
Yeah, I mean that's like basic rules of trading is not in division, especially with the good players. So, but even like in conferences, like, do you even do that? I mean, like, with quarterbacks, they most of the time with really good quarterbacks, if they get traded or like really really good players, you go, I don't want to see him. I want to see him like once every 4 years.
4 years. Yeah.
Send him to the other side.
Yeah.
And so maybe like even like the Bills. I have the Bills in here, who could potentially do it because they like Von Miller hasn't been super impressive, and
He's still consistent, but he hasn't not been his superstar form.
I think Myles Garrett would be an upgrade, but it's like, do they even go there? But other names who are kind of that like middle of the road pack that could take the extra boost. I have the 49ers, Cowboys, and Falcons.
Falcons makes sense. Cowboys won't do it because Jerry Jones. Niners don't need more on that super team because they already have everybody they need. It would be kind of pointless to go after a player like Myles Garrett when you already have Chase. Well, now they don't have Chase Young now because he went to the Saints.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, you have Nick Bosa, but like, hey, putting him opposite Nick Bosa and just having a deep, really scary D line.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't. I still think they have a lot of issues. But especially bring him in, you bring Robert Saleh back. That'd be
good.
Fun.
Yeah, but we don't need that.
I don't. I think logically it's an NFC North or the Commanders. Honestly I do kind of like the Bills as well, but
Okay. There's a lot of options, so we'll kind of see what they kind of narrow down to.
That'll be something to keep the eye on. But while we're still talking trade rumors, the Rams apparently have been seeking a trade for Cooper Kupp. And now this is a different scenario because it is not Myles Garrett requesting a trade. It is the Rams looking for a trade. So they're not looking necessarily for the best option for Kupp. They're looking for the best buyer. So you're looking at who will take him. Now the concern is there's a lot of concern that Cooper Kupp is washed after how he played this year. And so maybe you're looking at
You need a veteran presence.
Yeah, a veteran presence, but again, I think when you talk about value here, I don't think you're getting a first.
No.
You're
second at most, probably.
Second would be lucky. It depends on how high you can sell him.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a 3 or 4 at the highest. If they really biff it, they get down to like a fifth, which I mean seems really low for Cooper Kupp, but I mean Amari Cooper was traded for a fifth. And
that's true.
A seventh at one point, right?
Yeah, it was a fifth or seventh. For Cooper Kupp, though, I wouldn't be surprised that he gets. There are a few teams who need a veteran presence, or just at least a reliable option. I wouldn't be surprised if he went to like. I don't know why this team went first in my mind, but the Packers, they've been desperately needing a number one wide receiver. Kupp is not that number one wide receiver, but a veteran presence can help elevate that roster if needed. Let's see here. See, the thing is that like with him and how he's getting up there in age, I'm just trying to think of a team that just needs that kind of presence. Because you don't want any team to constantly rely on old vet talent as in wide receivers to get you places, because that's not how it works. It's very rare that it does. And I don't know where he could go, really. Like, there's several teams I can think of, but none of them seem viable, I guess.
I have 4, maybe 5 teams that
list them off
that aren't just like I could see, but also like not just like, oh, this would make sense as a trade, but also like I could see this actually happening, these teams making these moves. One, again, this is the Chiefs, I think, but like especially with the receiver issues, and now you also have a young room. I mean, Cooper Kupp is an upgrade over Juju Smith-Schuster.
They have DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, and that didn't turn out very well. So I think like I could see them going after Cooper Kupp as a potential better solution than DeAndre Hopkins, and they just move on from DeAndre Hopkins. So that's one option that I could see. I don't know why, but I really want them to make a move. The Patriots, because you're gonna see them try and bring in young talent,
but veteran.
He could be the one veteran guy. You throw him in the slot, and he works alongside those young guys with Drake May, and he would give a really good safety valve for him.
May and Kupp makes sense.
So that's another one, especially because that, like, again, you're looking as far as where in the round it is. that would be much more advantageous for the Rams because
Yeah.
the Patriots have a higher pick. I also have the Cowboys because the Cowboys are dumb, and I could see them being like, we lack him, give me him.
That's fair.
And I think they're actually like rumored to make a move too, which
Jerry Jones is very slow when it comes to that kind of stuff.
He
so
needs-
I am not expecting that to happen, but Jerry Jones he has too big of a pride. He's got too big of an ego. So
he heard there was competition for worst GM in Dallas, and so
he wants to take that
he's
off.
like, no. No, then the other ones, the one that I'm more solid on, the Bills, again, because
Yeah, I guess it's fair.
it was Amari Cooper didn't work out like you hoped, and you could kind of move him out, let him go somewhere, and bring in Cooper Kupp. It kind of fits the like receiver type that you're working with.
Yeah.
He's a little bit more in that build, and would work really well with someone who can extend plays like Josh Allen can.
Yeah, and Allen and Stafford have a pretty similar style when it comes to arm strength and arm throw. So
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if Kupp goes there because I think he would blend pretty well in Allen's style. It's very similar to Stafford's.
Yeah, and then another one that kind of, again, seems like, oh, maybe we replace the veteran with a better veteran. I don't think they do, but also at the same time, I could see it being a move, but because of things that I've seen and the way they've been making moves lately, I don't think they will. I also said the Bears, kind of, because like, Keenan Allen didn't work. You could move him out, bring in Cooper Kupp, but
I can see that.
they've been more of a kind of like build through the draft kind of.
Yeah, they're more of that kind of a team. And knowing them, they are not.
So I don't.
They overcompensate when it comes to trades. They like either they don't have a. I don't know what it is with the Bears. They just don't trade very well because whenever they do trade, it always ends up biting them in the rear because it just never works out.
Yeah. So personally, I think Patriots. You go for like, especially if you can get like a third out of the Patriots. That's going to be like a high third. That's pretty good compensation. Maybe you get like a sixth or seventh in there as well.
Yeah.
But that's I think that'd be cool. Would be the Patriots for him, and it'd be kind of cool just to see that kind of player. I feel like they always kind of end up at the Patriots. I mean, you had Wes Welker, you had Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola.
Them white receivers.
Yeah, without saying it, yeah. But yeah, that's like that's kind of all I have on that. And then the last thing before we actually get into the Super Bowl talk is every NFL team has hired their head coach except one. And my question is, who or what or who are the Saints waiting for at head coach? Are they looking at like Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore? Because they have to wait for their seasons to be done before they can really interview them or hire them and everything. Are they maybe looking at? Well, I hope not Matt Nagy, but you never know. I doubt it's Spagnuolo because
They definitely are waiting for one of those coordinators. I don't know which one though.
I feel like it feels like a Kellen Moore move.
I can see that. I can also see a Matt Nagy move.
Matt Nagy would just be silly.
It would be silly, but I
That'd
can
be-
definitely see that.
I would love to see Vic Fangio after this tenure he had this year. I mean, we talked about it with awards, how good of a year he's had with the Eagles, and so
Kind of see where that goes, I guess.
that'd be nice. But again, usually teams tend to flip flop. Dennis Allen on the defensive side. I think Kellen Moore might be a little bit more in favor. But again, maybe who knows? Who knows? But I just thought that was interesting because it's like they gotta be waiting for who like the Super Bowl to end for them to
Yeah.
get their guy. So
Yeah, because I think they're just waiting patiently at this point. So
twiddling their thumbs.
I mean, they are hosting the Super Bowl, so they literally get to watch all that stuff happen. So
Yeah,
I guess that's fair.
See, game will end, and there'll be the
You,
Saints.
I want to interview you for a head coaching position.
Saints will just
here.
be like, oh, it'll just be like tough loss. Good job.
Oh, so you like New Orleans?
How do you like it here? Enough to stay. Doesn't even get to leave the stadium.
We're holding you hostage.
But yeah, that's kind of just the only things there. I guess we can get on to the
Super Bowl.
the Super Bowl, which is supposed to be the most anticipated game of the year, and I think it is the most dreaded this year.
You can tell because not only are we pessimistic about it, but apparently ticket prices went down at least $2,000 or averaged $2,000 since the release of what happened with the teams that are playing in the Super Bowl. I mean, it kind of checks out. I mean, there's a few other factors, such as the incidents that have happened in New Orleans have also played a factor with that. Just the stress of the economy right now, which is also another fair thing. I don't know. Knowing how things work, the Chiefs will three-peat, and the whole world burns down. That's usually what happens.
Fun fact, that does remind me, did you know that the Chiefs officially got the okay to use the term three-peat if they win? It is a trademarked term by the, I forget if it's the GM or the head coach that won the Miami Heat three-peat.
Yeah.
He trademarked it. So he technically owns it, but he gave the Chiefs the okay to use it, basically. Gave them the rights to use that if they do win. So a little fun thing there.
Okay.
Something in the news when it comes to the Super Bowl, it's really annoying that this has to happen again because I feel like it's always something similar to this. But the NFL, and the refs and everyone have had to come out and say
the union? Yeah.
that they are not biased towards the Chiefs and that it is like disgusting to assume that they are like actually colluding for the Chiefs. And I feel like we have this every year where it's like the Chiefs are winning, the refs are helping them, it's all scripted and everything, and it's just like it gets to a point where it's just like you guys need to stop because it's just
There's a difference between rigging games and then slight favoritism. I do think that there is slight favoritism, but it isn't to the extent that people think it is. And what was it? There was a poll that some people took or whatever it was, whether it was online or whatever. But at least on that poll, a little bit over 75% of the people think it's partially or fully rigged. That's just how people are.
people thinking that that's actually legitimate though is
Yeah, I don't know how else to kind of put it. I understand the frustration, though, because it is a little glaring to kind of see how many 50-50 calls the Chiefs get compared to every other team. And I understand that, which is ridiculous because of how many 50-50 calls that go their way. It's frustrating, but there isn't like a very clear indication that there is any sort of favoritism in the sense that like, oh, we're making sure that the Chiefs are winning this game kind of situation. The Bills and Chiefs game? Bills shot themselves in the foot a couple times. Chiefs just capitalized on a couple things. There were a couple calls that should have gone the other way, but it's just what they ruled. Yes, Allen did get the first down, but
it's the issue of because people get so up in arms, but it comes down to the judgment call on the field is what gets them screwed over, which is again just people playing it by eye. And when you play it by eye, you're gonna get stuff wrong or stuff that people think is wrong. And then when you do that and stuff is so close that it's you can't reverse it. It's
No.
it's irreversible.
Yeah.
It goes to the call on the field, which just seems to always it seems like it always goes to the Chiefs, but
Yeah. I mean, there were, what was it? The play that Allen should have gotten a first down, that was a first down. They relied on the ref that had a view of Allen's back, which is not what I should have seen on that field. Obviously, we can't change the past. They based it off of that one, so it's whatever. Also, the Bills did not capitalize on the chance that they could have had to just score points earlier and not. There's a few things I'm upset with the Bills in general, but we're not talking about the Bills. We're talking about how a lot of people are complaining about how the refs are just like, we're actually bringing the game, when really it's just there. I agree there's bias, but there's not rigging.
I can see, because the other thing that doesn't help is the way the Chiefs are winning this year.
Yes.
Which is, again, like we've mentioned, slightly gamey, and it seems like that blame goes on the refs, even though the refs are making the right call most of the time.
Yeah.
Or
I'd say about 85% of the time, yeah, they are making the right call.
it's the right call or the consistent call that they usually make, and people are upset because they don't want the Chiefs to be getting all this, because it's like, well, that's just. But really, you should be pointing it at it's the Chiefs playing gamey, which is not illegal, or it's just like almost, if anything, more frowned upon. But again, it's like you're playing the game within the rules. You're not cheating. It's not loopholes. You're just using the extent of the rules to your advantage. And it's just not what people want to see, especially when you can consistently get it to go your way.
Yeah. And I understand that aspect of things too, because what was it? There was a loophole that Bill Belichick found a few years ago with like the stop clock with like punting or whatever it was. I don't know if you remember that at all.
I guess it was him against the Steelers.
No, it was against the Jets.
Oh, I'm thinking of.
But maybe he's done it before in the past, but I specifically remember the Patriots-Jets game, and I remember seeing him.
I believe Tomlin, maybe Tomlin did something similar. I forget what it was.
I don't remember, but when Bill Belichick found that loophole, a lot of people were, I wouldn't say up in arms, but people were like, so how many other things can they get away with, kind of thing, where it was more of, well, if they can get away with that kind of stuff and with that loophole, how many other things are they going to try and get away with? And that's why people are constantly trying to figure out how to make this game as fair as possible. Hence the reason why now we have a new overtime rules with both teams getting the ball in overtime. Originally, it was the Chiefs who wanted that because they got screwed out against the Patriots in 2018, but it didn't get passed until the Bills got cheated out against the Chiefs. So it's a cycle. And I guess I understand the idea of making things as fair as possible. And I do agree that the way the Chiefs are winning this year is not fun to watch. It's the most predictable thing ever. It's not entertaining, and people are tired of it. I understand that argument, and I agree with that argument. What I won't stand by is that the whole concept of the NFL purposely rigging an entire season to make sure that the Chiefs three-peat is ridiculous. I do see bias, but I do not see a full-on, this is what's happening, this is going to be who wins, who loses, we're going to make sure this player is whatever, like nominated MVP or what. Like, there's nothing like that. It's a voting system for awards. You can't script an in-the-moment play. Like, you can't go ahead and what am I trying to say here? For example, the Allen play where he should have gotten the first down because he did. They didn't call it. That is the spur of the moment. And the way they called on the field, yes, frustrating, but that is just one instance of, I don't know, like refs are not going to be consistent. It's hard. And that's why they've been talking about putting computers and stuff on the field. Or not like legitimate computers, but you know what I mean. To actually help assist the refs in making calls. And I think that would help quite a bit. Obviously, you can't. I don't know. I don't like on the field judgment. However, that's just how the game has been played since its creation, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. People can whine and complain all they want, but I get frustrated. Yeah, I think some of the calls are stupid. I do think that it should have gone the other way, and the Chiefs should have either lost the game or they shouldn't have this. But it's sports. What do you want? You want to completely change everything because you don't like one thing? I don't know.
I'm getting a major sense of deja vu. I feel like we had this exact conversation last year.
Yeah, I know, but usually
it's a yearly thing.
But usually when I rant about this stuff, I'm just trying to get my point across and to hopefully people can wake up a little bit. While I dislike the Chiefs, especially their bandwagons, and the fact that they do seem to get a lot of calls going their way, there is no proof, no solid evidence that I have seen that the NFL is intentionally rigging the game. People can throw controversy and speculations and conspiracies all over the place, but those are conspiracies. Those aren't true facts. Conspiracies are formed off of either an illusion or just, I don't know. I don't like this, so there must be something going against me kind of thing mentality. I don't know.
Which is exactly where most of this comes from, as people would rather try and find something to make it rigged than just admit that the outcome that they don't want is just the outcome.
Yeah.
And so they'd rather say, oh, it was forced again, like against my will, whatever.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah.
It's not it's not rigged. Don't.
I don't know how many times I have to say that to people.
But yeah, let's actually look at the game itself, I guess, and get into our picks here, because
it's one game, so we can talk about it however we want. So
and it's just gonna be a yearly thing talking about how the NFL's rigged. In the Super Bowl preview, so I guess actually looking at the game, you got Chiefs Eagles. Chiefs, have been like the unstoppable force all year. Like no one's been able to stop them except the Bills that like one time. And then you have the immovable object that is the Eagles, which has just, I mean, defensive rookie of the year candidate, defensive player of the year candidate, and 2 defensive rookie of the year candidates. All on that defense. You have a potential MVP running back.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to all be moot because this is going to come out after the awards, which is just going to be like,
well,
awkward. But you have these nominees. They have probably the most like skilled and well coached.
Well coached.
It's this entire unit versus Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Can they do it? Because
round 2.
I mean, it seems like, again, first half last week, Chiefs seems like they're just playing as an actual team and playing well all around. The second half, it just seemed like Patrick Mahomes pulling stuff out of his ass, and that kind of just got him the win, which was
normally how he plays.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you had the Eagles, who I feel like Saquon's been getting better week by week, which is interesting.
You can't stop him.
So what's it going to be? And we all know what I'm pulling for, which is just Saquon Barkley runs for like 300 yards.
Yeah.
Because I want the Eagles to do it so bad because I don't want to see a Chiefs three-peat, obviously. But also, like, I believe that the Eagles should be able to.
Mm-hmm.
Yet somehow I cannot have like actual confidence in the fact that they will because the Chiefs have done it to every other team.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I don't know what to. I hate it.
I personally have. I'm going to sound like a very, very crazy man for saying all this now, but I have come to peace with either situation. I'm going to do what we did with the award talks, preferred teams and realistic. I would prefer the Eagles, obviously. I do think that the Eagles are a really good team. I like Saquon Barkley. I want him to get his ring. And that Eagles team has been so much better. It's even better than 2022, in my opinion. Like that team was.
Yes.
That team is nothing compared to this team. However, I have come to peace with the idea of a Chiefs three-peat. And I'm only okay with it because if it gets done, I can do nothing but respect the fact that it did happen because that's the first time in NFL history, at the very least, it's happened. What I won't be happy about, probably, is how they do it.
Mm.
And that's the thing that will always nag at me because I'm just like, I respect any accomplishments. It took me years to respect Tom Brady because I was just completely tired of him. And I know some people will never respect Tom Brady because of the allegations and everything. Shut up. He won 7 rings. For this situation, it's more of Patrick Mahomes will probably be will be the second best QB in NFL history. If he pulls off a three-peat, that's just how it is. And I mean, first time it's ever done, and I think they kind of deserve to do the three-peat trademark thing that you were just talking about. What I probably will never appreciate or never come to terms with is how the bandwagons are going to gloat about this. The NFL will probably blow this up out of proportions for the next few years because that's usually how it goes. What my concern is how they're going to, like, how is society going to react if the Chiefs win a third time in a row? That's really what I'm worried about. But not good, because 95% of the world just doesn't like the Chiefs, or at least the United States. But I will say that if it gets done, if the feat is accomplished, I can respect it because I've come to terms with that. If the Eagles win, which I do hope they do, that's just cementing a legacy right there. Because Saquon Barkley, like we said many, many times before, generational player, he deserves it. Jalen Hurts, there was this, what was it? It was a post I saw. It was like, we're either going to have to talk about how Patrick Mahomes might be the greatest QB of all time for three-peating, or we're going to have to finally put Jalen Hurts in one of the best QBs of this generation of quarterbacks kind of conversation. I'm like, nah,
he's not.
Jalen Hurts is good, but he's not that great. Unless if he like really turns things around, he's more like a B tier quarterback, if I would be completely honest.
He's a good quarterback, but
he's just not great. You know, he's not like an Allen or a Burrow or a Mahomes.
Yeah,
Like he's not one of them.
I can't notice how you didn't say Lamar Jackson.
Well, the thing is that if I said Lamar Jackson, people are going to be questioning why I put him with the other three. I don't know.
MVPs.
People want to argue about things because that's just how this all works.
People like to argue. Yeah, this is just it obviously would cement a legacy, and if three-peat, you got history. If it's the Eagles going out there, Saquon wins the Super Bowl, which is just like I would be so happy for him. Like
Philadelphia won't exist anymore. That's another thing.
yes, that is a concern.
Is it though?
But looking at this game logically, because again, you mentioned how like afterwards it's gonna be like whatever. It's literally gonna be if the Chiefs win, whoever wins, like people are gonna be super happy. I'm pulling for the Eagles.
Yeah.
But even if the Chiefs win, it's gonna be a week of suck, and a week of Chiefs whatever,
Yeah.
and then we're into the off season,
Yeah.
and we're free.
Sort of. No, we won't be free.
We'll be free for. It won't be as bad. There won't be as much dread, and we'll just get to talk news. Which is just be so much better.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think it will take if the Chiefs do win, I think it will take me at least a few months for me to finally come to terms with it, let things die down, and just be okay with it. Like right away, if the Chiefs do win, I am going to probably shut off the internet because I do not want to hear anybody talking about, oh, they're the best team in NFL history. Nah, Patriots were. I don't think I want to be on the internet for the next 2 weeks after a Chiefs three-peat because I don't want to deal with the bandwagons because they are not.
it'll be bad. It'll be bad. But
you're basically riding the coattails of just a team that finally got out of the gutter for the first time in 50 years. And now you want to act like you're actual fans? Yeah, get a life. I don't know. That's why I have an issue with bandwagon fans. It's just they ride off on the coattails of glory and they act like they've been there the entire time. And no, you have not. You just have an issue with loyalty. And I do not like people who have an issue with loyalty.
Agreed, but again, so we're kind of coming up on the end of this, so I'll kind of actually dive into actually how I think this game should go, how it will likely go, and I'll give my picks. Because looking at this game, it's so hard to look at how the Eagles have played and say the Chiefs can do anything. But the Chiefs can do anything against anyone, and they have. And I think what would make this a very comfortable Super Bowl was if the Eagles turned Patrick Mahomes back into Week 1 Patrick Mahomes or early season Patrick Mahomes, make him uncomfortable. You have, again, one of the best linebackers in the league this year.
Yep.
You have two of the best rookies on the defensive side of the ball. You have the best running back in the league. You have all these players, and that you still have a really good O-line, a really good quarterback, wide receivers. You have a very talented team. You just have to pull it together. And now, there may be some questions as to having two rookies and a running back who's never made it this far, as like, how are they going to be able to play on the big stage? But I think because this has happened before, and also because it happened before than these two have played, and it came down to a heartbreaking loss. But also, you also have the fact that a three-peat has never happened before in the NFL. And I don't think the Eagles, I could be wrong. This could be like almost Bills level of embarrassment when they lost 4 straight, but I don't think they want to be 2 of the 3 teams in the Chiefs three-peat for that time. Obviously they don't want to, but unless it's that embarrassing for them, I don't think it happens. And I hate that I'm actually talking myself into this because I do
You're
it
doing this
every time.
yourself.
I do it every time.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be this impossible to beat the Chiefs.
Because we've seen how weak they are.
They,
They're not a complete team.
They don't play as the most dominant team, but they win, which is what is annoying. Because you can out dominate them. The Eagles are a more dominant team, and as far as win record goes, there's not that much of a disparity. It's one game, but it's also just how do you stop the Chiefs? And I don't realistically. I don't know how I don't know how the Eagles will end up preventing the Chiefs' magic from happening, but I do think the Eagles have the upper hand in the way that they're playing. Now, I know there's also I think the Chiefs are wearing white again,
Yep.
which plays into the white team wearing white always wins. Trends are meant to be broken, though. I think I've been doing it all year. What am I saying? I was gonna pick the Chiefs and be like, I've done it enough, but I'm like, I've done it so many times this year. This year's chalked. Give me the Eagles. I'm going Eagles.
All right.
God damn it.
Yeah, I
hate it here.
see. The thing is that I can never truly pick between these two because it's just you have one side where it's like, I don't want them to win, but it's like, but I also don't want them to win somehow. Like I don't dislike the Eagles as a team. I'm not a fan of their fans. That's usually what I kind of boil it down to. I don't know. See, the thing is that I picked underdogs the last time, and that did not go well for me. And I'm probably just going to stick with the Chiefs because I've come to terms with everything. It's not because I don't think the Eagles can win. It's just if I'm going to be realistic in how things are just going to play out, because that God's a Chiefs fan, man. Apparently he's a good Chiefs fan too because he's been blessing them with a bunch of victories and everything. Because I don't know what else to do. I'm just here for the ride at this point. So I don't know. I'm probably going to stick with the Chiefs. I can't believe I'm saying that, but
And I can't blame you. I will hate for a solid 3 days everything. I'm just gonna be like, I hate the NFL. I don't want to be.
just
and
like
then
the 3-beat. Don't ever say 3 around him for the next 3 weeks. I don't know.
I'm gonna throw something.
He sees the number 3 and has PTSD.
Yeah, for those 3 days.
Or 3 weeks.
That's what I'll need. Or 3 weeks. I'll just need a set of 3 something of time to
3 years. 3 decades.
3 years to undo the 3 years that I had to withstand. Like how that math actually works out.
Yeah. Put it together.
No, but if the Chiefs three-peat, what's going to stop them from 4? That's what I don't like.
Oh, they're definitely not 4-peating. That's not happening. You think the NFL is going to let that happen? Like not the organization. I'm talking about the other 31 teams. You think that's going to happen a 4th year in a row?
They've been trying to stop it all year this year. They've been trying to stop the three-peat. If they can't stop the 3, how can they stop the 4?
Well, see, the thing is that 3-peat, it was going to happen eventually. A 4-peat is unheard of in any sport. It's very rare that you find that kind of stuff. The only times that it does happen, I would say, is like maybe Division II NCAA football. Isn't North Dakota State like?
Well, that's still Division I. Division I FCS.
Or maybe what am I thinking of then?
I think North Dakota State has. They're just not Division II.
Yeah, they're not Division II. So maybe I'm just going crazy.
But
point still being, though, there's very few sports and very few teams that have ever done something like that. So
what can I say?
We'll see.
The scriptwriter likes to be original.
How original.
All right. Well, I don't know if there's anything else other than just
Because if we keep talking, I'm going to keep rambling.
it's
so.
just gonna be resentment of the Chiefs for the next forever how long. So
It's
we're
not even the Chiefs I'm resenting. It's just how everything else is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I think we're gonna wrap this one up here. I feel so good about this game. What I do feel good about is how this season went, even though it ended here. It's ending here. I'm excited to break everything down, even if it involves talking about the Chiefs Super Bowl. Everything else along the way. We had a great season. Again, we'll recap it more, obviously, after the Super Bowl, but just so thankful for the year that you guys gave us, because could not have gone through all of it without the support of you guys. So thank you so much. Go out, enjoy your Super Bowl weekend. If you decide to actually watch it, be safe.
It's the last game that you're probably going to watch in 6 months. So please go watch the Super Bowl. Please don't be petty.
Yeah, I'm still gonna watch it. I'm just probably not gonna be happy, but here we are. So be safe, enjoy, and thank you again for everything you've done this year, and we look forward to seeing you guys next week.
Man, this season went by fast.
Yeah, dude.
See ya.
Bye.